Next we have Enterprise Workshop, also known as Large Group Consensus Forming a Review Meeting. Problem solving type, information sharing, convergent thinking. Process rules, customer lead, ideally, or a facilitator. Content rules, customer review team. Communication techniques, hierarchy posters, written descriptions on the PowerPoint, sticky wall. Range of durations, 1.5 hours to 6.5 hours. Background, the customer review team is a larger group than the customer leads, whose consensus will be required to proceed to implementing the problem solution. The purpose of this workshop is to share information and build consensus by soliciting input into the solution. Preparation. Create large format posters for the hierarchies. Create a 3-ring binder for all other materials, such as the Excel listings of primitive definitions and their sources. Prepare headings and items for sticky wall. 72-point Times New Roman works for a sticky wall. Include some information that ties each sticky wall item back to its definition. Procedure. Bring the posters and some binders with the Rule 1 definition to a workshop with enterprise stakeholders. Have the enterprise take ownership of the meeting and walk through each hierarchy, validating the models. This workshop is usually done with one hierarchy at a time. Next we have matrix mining, also known as creating another matrix. Problem solving type, convergent thinking. Process rules, task lead vs EA problem solving SME. Content rules, the team. Communication techniques, silent document review, internal review workshop. Range of duration, 1 hour to 2 days depending on the documentation. Background. Matrices are composite models that show relationships and effects between columns of the Zachman framework. Preparation. Reuse the documents collected for document mining. Procedure. Carefully review the documents for cross-column relationships, that is, a sentence involving more than one column, for example, a role and a process. Keep track of each relationship, including document, quoted text, and the page number. Then conduct an enterprise workshop to validate the matrices. Next we have Nominal Group Technique, also known as Spitwads, a fun variation. Problem solving type, divergent thinking, information sharing, and then convergent thinking. Process rules, facilitator, flip chart recorder. Content rules, the team. Communication techniques, silent writing, group notes, group definition, straw pool. Range of durations can be 1/4 hour to half an hour. Background. The widely used meeting procedure called Nominal Group Technique, which was published in 1975, is only slightly varied by collecting the ideas anonymously and redistributing them instead of having each person read his or her idea in a round robin. Preparation. The facilitator and business owner prepare a seed question that is written on a flip chart. The facilitator brings the slips of paper, spare pens, and waste basket or a similar container. Procedure. The facilitator explains the technique and distributes slips of paper. The group silently writes to the question for a set period, typically 5 or 10 minutes. The facilitator directs the group to crumple up their ideas and throw them into the waste basket, which the facilitator playfully carries and tries to make a game of it. The facilitator then redistributes the slips of paper randomly, and the papers are read aloud round robin. As the papers are read, they are recorded on the flip chart by the facilitator or someone in the recorder's role. The ideas are then numbered. The facilitator asks the people to define the ideas and asks if there are any duplicates or ideas that should be combined. The final step is to take a straw poll. Have people pick the best 2 or 3 ideas and the facilitator calls for the votes and records the results. Review and conduct a focused discussion of the priorities generated. The discussion could then transition to action planning. Mini patterns for problem-solving meetings. These mini patterns are additional techniques to round out your meeting facilitation skills. Techniques such as breakouts and the idea parking lot are classic approaches for conducting effective meetings. Get organized. If you have no agenda, brainstorm these 2 questions on a flip chart. Why are we here? What outcomes do we want? Breakouts. Meetings are least productive when only one person talks and everyone else does nothing but listen and take notes. In general, people's creativity is inhibited in groups larger than 5. The facilitator can ask that the group form small discussion to address a particular question and then have them report back their conclusions subgroup by subgroup. Another approach is to quickly generate a list of topics or concerns, brainstorming or brainwriting, and then have each breakout take one problem to solve as a subgroup before debriefing the general session. Flip charts. Unlike a computer or a whiteboard, flip charts give a group unlimited space for creativity. When a page of flip chart is filled, it is smoothed and taped to a nearby wall. Flip charts are group notes. People do not need to take their own notes. They can have their heads up and be fully engaged in the meeting. Flip charts are also highly portable, unlike whiteboards. Time management. If you plan an agenda, plan the time for each meeting topic and stick to it. Or else ask the group if they want to extend the time. Assign a timekeeper to remind the group. Make sure there is a highly visible clock in the meeting room. Time consciousness keeps the people focused on problem solving. Ground rules. Have some ground rules for each meeting so that distractions are minimized and the group doesn't waste time. Idea parking lot. Post a separate flip chart to capture ideas that are outside the meeting's purpose. revisit these ideas at the end of the meeting and decide as a group how they should be addressed. Other problem-solving catalogs. General problem solving and business meeting facilitation are similar disciplines and they share common catalogs of techniques. Perhaps the most widely used and respected catalog of techniques is Techniques of Structured Problem Solving by Arthur Van Gunde. New techniques are constantly being developed. Beyond problem solving, there is a new generation of techniques based upon possibility thinking. More than 60 possibility thinking methods have been published by Holman and Devine in 2007, using techniques such as the Circle Way, the World Cafe, Open Space, and Appreciative Inquiry. Groups are encouraged to explore new possibilities based upon organizational strengths rather than dwelling on problems and weaknesses. In the discussion we had so far, we have discussed the Zachman framework for enterprise architecture, primitive models versus composite models, architectural problem-solving patterns which included business quotient analysis, document mining, hierarchy formation, enterprise workshop, matrix mining. Finally, we saw mini patterns for problem-solving meetings. To conclude, architecture is the design of a complex structure that enables change and reuse. Enterprise architecture is the architecture of an enterprise. Solution architecture is the architecture of a system. The ability to change rapidly and confidently is a key to enterprise success. Incorporating cybersecurity requirements in the enterprise change process assures that the changes result in secure systems and secure enterprise. The Zachman framework is a baseline reference model for enterprise architectures. It has 6 columns corresponding to different types of entities. Example, materials, processes, locations, roles, events, and motivations. It has 6 rows corresponding to different perspectives. Executive, management, architect, engineer, technician, and the enterprise. The Zachman framework is intended to be populated with primitive entities. In other words, entities which only address one of the basic interrogatives, that is, what, how, where, who, when, and why. We can enumerate these 36 primitive models corresponding to the cells in the framework. Composite models contain combinations of different types of primitives. There are infinite varieties of composite models. The most basic are matrices that show interaction between two categories of primitives. Zachman framework's role in cybersecurity is explained in the context of an enterprise risk executive. Row 2 is typically where the enterprise architecture EA is expressed because EA is directed at the business manager to support their decision making. From the row 3 perspective, there are many useful composite model frameworks which are applied in various domains. It can be DODAF and MODAF for defense, TOGAF for commercial off-the-shelf solution architectures, and RMODP, which is used extensively for financial and telecommunication applications. The problem-solving patterns are a catalog of architecture methods which are used to populate Zachman framework primitive models, that is, document mining and hierarchy formation, as well as composite models, that is, matrix mining. The enterprise workshop is an approach for the EA core team to gain acceptance and ownership of architecture models and definitions. Architecture methods can solve a very broad range of problems such as strategic planning, investment decision support, analyzing impacts across complex enterprises, and solution architecture design. Thank you.